The KISLEV Rework has arrived. What's new? How's it changed? Let's go! First of all, the main mechanic, Court and Orthodoxy. This replaces the Supporter race, although it's not far dissimilar, still between the Ice Court and the Great Orthodoxy. The most important thing here is the tier number. You can see a 4 and a 1 for the Ice Court. The way you get this number up is by filling up this bar, which not only raises your tier, but also gives you +1 boon rewards. You can see this little currency here. I've currently got 2 of them to spend on all these buffs down here. You can see how much they cost to unlock, and it's various buffs for all sorts of stuff. You got different tabs, and as you can see, the 2 boxes on the right are for Orthodoxy rewards, and the 2 boxes on the left are for Ice Court rewards. So some nice rewards whichever side you back, but you do have to be a bit careful about your backing. You see here I'm at tier 4 with the Orthodoxy and only tier 1 with the Ice Court, and as a result I'm getting all these negative traits from leaning too heavily towards the Orthodoxy and not enough towards the Ice Court. So you have to kind of balance it out somewhat evenly, making sure those 2 numbers don't get too far apart. You can see now I've leveled up the Ice Court, so now it's level 2 to 4, and there's only the 1 negative penalty. So it's quite simply all about leveling up these bars quite evenly to get the boon rewards. And how do you level up those bars? Well, it's through the obvious means of buildings, skill points, tech. You can see on this building, Ice Court support gained +7, and you may have also just noticed the new branching building types, which is pretty cool. This one kind of shaped like a cross, which is very thematic for the Great Orthodoxy, I suppose. So these are a nice new addition for KISLEV as well, giving you a little more choice on what's important for you. But yeah, all about gathering support for the 2 sides and then making use of the boons. Some of these are pretty nice as well. -10 upkeep when in my own territory here on the Ice Court side, or one that saved my ass here. You can see I've got Arbol breathing down my neck. I've just had to fight him off. My army's pretty beaten up, but there's a bunch more armies potentially going to come and get me. I need some extra help, and I just so happen to have enough points to get this one, Wartime Prayer, which allows me to instantly recruit a bunch of the basic Kossars, and this, where I need some instant help over this turn, is really going to save me. You can see I've got this extra button on my army to recruit these. I'm going to fill my army up with as many of them as I can get, and it's going to potentially save my ass, and I will tell you, it does. Yes! Overall, a nice overhaul to this support system, which feels much more rewarding with those boons. As for all of the boons, there's a mixture of different stuff there. You'll be able to see them tomorrow when the update comes out. It's a mixture of stuff to buff your units, to buff your campaign, your battle, your characters, all sorts of different stuff. Another big change to Devotion this time, which used to be a standalone currency. Well, now it's your public order, basically, or your control, but it's actually still sort of a currency. So you'll get this from the usual sources that you get public order from, buildings, lords, heroes, etc. And you see here how I've currently got 50 devotion in this province. Well, the way this is a currency is that it can be spent on your invocations. You remember where you could kind of call on the gods for buffs? Well, these are now tied to settlements here, so essentially you're going to be spending your public order to activate the invocation buffs. So as you saw, I've currently got 50 devotion, 50 public order. I hit this button to use the Urson buff, and now I've got 0 public order, so I'm actually spending my public order, which is kind of a weird thing, but it's a really cool mechanic, I think, as it's a good way to get some rewards when you've got a good stable province that doesn't have to worry about public order. You can spend it on useful stuff as and when you need it. I should mention that this means that devotion is now tied to each different province rather than being a faction-wide currency like it was before. But it doesn't end there, as we have the same thing for our armies. There are army invocations, so you've got 2 sets of invocations available, ones that are tied to settlements and ones that are tied to armies. These ones, of course, give buffs to the army. And again, it's tied to the devotion. I've got the 50 devotion here, the 50 public order. I can spend that on this invocation for the army to get them whatever buffs may be useful at any given moment. In this particular scenario, I'm going to use the tall one because it enables magical attacks, and I'm about to go after Arbol, who's got a lot of demons, so these invocations can be equally very useful, just like the settlement ones. Next, some changes to your Atamans, the governors of your provinces. It still works the same, that you get 1 for every 2 provinces, and they can still buff a combination of income, growth, devotion, anti-corruption. So that's all pretty much the same, but now Atamans are pretty much fully fleshed out lords. You can see the little portrait next to the settlement, and now they've got it all. They can have items, they got a skill tree. However, they will be stuck in the settlement that they're in the province of, so they're no longer recruitable lords that can lead an army and run around. There's also a building, the Ataman's Estate, which will be in the 3 major KISLEV cities. That gives a few buffs and even more buffs if an Ataman is actually in that city, and some extra garrison units as well. By far the coolest new feature of Atamans, though, is the new Garrison Sally attack. So in a province where your Ataman is, you'll notice this little pinky border around the settlements of that province. In this case, Troll Country. This is basically the movement range of your garrison as an army. You can send them out to attack any armies in that range. So I could attack the Ice Court here, but obviously we're not going to do that. I could, though, attack these bastards over here from Castle Alexandrinov. You see the pinky area? If there's an enemy army within that, we can go and attack them with the garrison. In this case, it's a terrible idea because our garrison's pretty small, but it's a really cool feature that you can actually do that. They're not besieging us, they're just kind of near us so we can attack them. I really like this idea and this feature. I feel like it should be something that's in every faction, right? Any garrisoned army should be able to leave and attack any nearby bastards it pleases. But yeah, really cool new feature for any provinces where you have an Ataman. So that is most of the bigger changes for KISLEV. A few other changes: they can confederate normally now, whereas before they were kind of limited by the supporter race. There's also been changes to the Ice Court. It now doesn't take so long to build a new ice switch, only about 5 turns rather than I think it was 8 before. They've also reworked some of the buffs and stuff you get across those turns as well while you're building her, so those lords and heroes should be a bit better than before. The KISLEV tech tree has also been overhauled as well. It now has 3 tabs: the land, the people, and the state. Lots of changes to this as well, of course. I'm not entirely sure what. Without having the 2 things side by side, it's really hard to know what exactly has changed, but we can assume and hope it's all for the better. It is overall still very familiar, though. There is some things I recognize as the same, but there is going to be a lot of little changes here and there. Kostaltin, Katerin, and Boris also got their skill trees revamped a little bit, namely their unique lines. The Boyar Lords as well got a little bit of love too, so some nice rejigging for most of the Lords. Again, it's hard to say what exactly has changed without a side-by-side comparison or some detailed patch notes. And if you're wondering, hey, what about Grandma Stanky? Well, she's had some love because she now has a dilemma to leave her main starting position in Naggaroth and head back to KISLEV. So this is a really nice change for her. I do enjoy this kind of thing when you get 2 choices of start positions for a Lord, because it does essentially give you 2 campaigns rather than 1. So she's got that option now. And where do you end up if you do decide to do this? Well, you start off in Plesk in the Eastern Oblast region. So it's the eastern/northernmost region of KISLEV. You'll have to take out the Goromadny tribe that are hanging out there, but that's easy enough. Once you've got that province, it's not a bad position. You'll have KISLEV hopefully surviving to the south of you, so you won't have to worry about that. But later on, you might end up with Archaon coming at you, so have fun with that. Or maybe the Chaos Dwarfs coming in from the east. But still, a nice new challenge for Mother Ostankia. And lastly, a couple of changes with old Grandad Boris. You no longer have to unlock him. So if you're new to the game and it says you must play a Realms campaign to unlock him, have joy. You no longer need to play a Realms campaign. Happy days. He also has a new type of commandment just for him by order of the Tsar, which will greatly increase local devotion and the purging of corruption at the expense of your economy. This will of course help him conquer that nasty chaos wasteland up there that he's hanging out in. So long live Papa Bear. So overall, some really nice changes for KISLEV. I have been playing a fair bit of a Kostaltin campaign, which is still a bit of a rough start, as it always has been. I do wonder what it's going to be like facing KISLEV now, though, because very often Kostaltin dies, Katerin gets absolutely huge and dominates everybody, and then if you're a bad guy, you've usually got to deal with her. Is she going to be even stronger and more of a psycho now? Well, we'll have to see. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. If you'd like some members exclusive content or early access to videos, do check out YouTube membership if it might interest you. I will see you in the future.